Welcome back to the Nullified Take, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the challenge. Now, the challenge global, perhaps. Chantel and Drew are with me here today. Chantel from Realnesss, Drew from the Angelcake Entertainment channel, to talk about the massive news that just dropped this week about the challenge going global. And I was just thinking, Chantel and Drew, that it's been such a long time since we've had an opportunity to talk, and then the challenge gods delivered with some great off-season content for us here. Chantel, how are you doing, and how is this news sort of affecting or hitting you at the moment as you're sort of, I think it was about midweek as we found out about this. How is things sitting with you at the moment, finding out about this news that we're going to get so many different spin-offs happening on Paramount Plus?
Well, I'm doing well. I'm still not sure how I feel about it yet. For the fact is that I haven't seen the show be aired. And my immediate wonder and concern is, so all the people that I definitely would have not wanted to see on the challenge proper are going to get an opportunity to be on this CBS, the challenge, global participant in this new series. So I don't trust CBS's vetting, because anybody that's come from CBS will say, at least from the Big Brother side of things, I haven't necessarily been a fan of. So I'm just kind of I don't know if it's going to have all the things that I enjoy about the challenge. Yes, it's going to be probably really competitive. It'll be that fifth sport, blah, blah, blah. But I love the challenges because I've grown up with these people. I've lived with them through the real world and road rules and how it came together as the challenge when they're competing against each other. And I like seeing the history of these people competing for money on a show that I enjoy. So I'm not sure if just throwing people that I know into some physical competitions, if it's going to be enough to hold me in watching this series. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch it, but I just don't know if I'm going to enjoy it as much as I enjoy the challenge proper. So that's how I'll start my
podcast over. Podcast over. Let's leave. Chantel's already put everything out there. Hello to everybody on the live stream. Sophie, Lovable Nikki, Cam I Am, Chris Dixon, Julieta. Everybody welcome. Eric as well, and Lester, welcome here in the live stream today. Drew, how is things sitting on your end at the moment? How are you doing, and how's this news hitting you? You're probably the person who's the most dedicated to the challenge, since your whole your channel is basically built off the challenge. How are you feeling about everything that's happening? I know you're expanding. I'm not trying to minimize the other things that you're doing, but I mean, obviously, a lot of the success has been built on the challenge content that you've got on your channel.
No, definitely. I'm happy to be here. I think Chantel really summed it up great in the first 3 minutes of this podcast. No lie. Her opening remark could be the ending remarks and the rest of the remarks. No, I first of all, I'm doing somewhat okay today. I just think I was in a huge mental brain fog for majority of today, and it was really tough to get out of it. So I'm drinking tons of caffeine and hoping that really pushes me through until I just go to bed tonight. But it's really tough. You know what? It's really, really tough, because if the thing that gets me is I don't like to just jump too deep into anything without knowing a lot more information. Kind of like when All Stars 3 blew up Twitter. I didn't make a video until way later, until I was like, okay, I want to know a little bit more information than just having a list of names that could or could not be on the sheet. So my thing is that this news is just dropped to us one random Tuesday evening / night. And it's a lot dumped on us, but not a lot at the same time. It's just hey, here's this paragraph of a ton of challenge content that you'll be getting this year, but also we have no real details for you. So to me, I'm really wondering how I feel or what's going on. I kind of fluctuate as the more I think about it from day to day. So I've just been kind of in my own head wondering. I will say that after reading that article and finding out a little bit more information, I can honestly say that I am the least excited for the challenge CBS comparatively to the other three spinoffs that are going to be happening. I think Challenge UK is easily my top one that I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to. Doing this huge series rewatch, I feel like the UK team or the UK personalities really surged up the challenge energy, and I really liked what they brought to the table in War of the Worlds, and even War of the Worlds 2, even despite how much the US was trying to sink that season. But I think Australia is my second favorite. Argentina is my third that I'm looking forward to. And then I just, from some of the
CBS
names
least?
that I've been hearing put out there, I'm not looking forward to the CBS at all.
Oh, really? I haven't heard any rumors about
Uh,
names being put out there, so
2
I think
names so far that I've seen.
we'll definitely
Well,
get
3.
into that, and I do want to get back to you, Drew, about those 2 names. But just my initial thoughts on this so far. I kind of came into this podcast and I said to Drew and Chantel, I'll try and downplay my energy, but I'm excited, and I'm a new fan of the show. So I understand, like, I don't have the, 20 plus years or even more than that of watching the challenge. Like, I'm watching the older seasons, but I didn't grow up with it over so many years of watching it. I love the old seasons of the challenge. I respect it. Without the old seasons, whatever is going to happen to the evolution of the challenge would not exist today. So you've got to respect the OGs. You've got to respect the foundation of what the show was built on and sort of where it's evolving to and where it's moving. But as you can see in the comment section here, we've got people from Australia saying, hey, I'll watch the challenge now because there's going to be Australians on it. There are people from Argentina saying, like, really excited for the Argentinian version of it. So for me, from a global perspective, I know for a fact, like, I'm the most excited about the Australian challenge season because of the absolute massive characters that I know, the juggernaut characters that the US fan base is going to get to know. Like, there's Australian survivors that I've really been wanting an international crossover of Survivor for a long time. And there's so many great superstar Australian survivors that have not had the chance to sort of get introduced to that mainstream US audience. And I know they will translate well. They're going to have that opportunity now. So the challenge, once again, is, in my opinion, doing something better than what Survivor can do, because Survivor just can't get it together to do a global showpiece. But I do hear what you guys are saying in regards to the CBS version, because that's going to compete more directly with the US version of the show, which is on the MTV side of things. And, if it's not going to be any of the, I guess, MTV alumni that are on the CBS show again, like, that's going to take away. In my opinion, you're going to have to bring in a couple of heavy hitters from the challenge, not just keep it to the CBS version of it, because the way that they're making it sound is that it's only going to be the Amazing Race, Survivor, and Big Brother that's going to be a part of that. And I'm a little bit worried about that. But I also want to put down, Chantel, I know this is not a debate. Go check out our great debates on Angelcake's channel. Those were really fun to do. But, you mentioned that CBS have not been getting it right. I don't think CBS is to blame. I put all the blame on MTV and the production of the challenge. They're the ones who chooses who goes on the show to play on their show. CBS didn't cast for MTV's The Challenge. So they're bringing these Big Brother players on that isn't as fun to watch. It's not necessarily CBS doing the casting. If CBS controls this one, the production and everything, we might see a different casting scenario
Didn't
happening here.
CBS cast Josh for Big Brother? Like,
Oh, yeah.
they brought them
Like,
into the stratosphere of conversation. So, like,
for sure. But I mean,
brought this network of people that I don't enjoy. That's who they've brought into the challenge world. And so that's kind of what I mean by,
Fair enough.
if CBS didn't exist, we wouldn't have the people from Big Brother that I don't particularly enjoy on the challenge. That's
but you can't have your cake and eat it too. If CBS didn't exist, we wouldn't have had Boston Rob, we wouldn't have had Tony Vlachos, we wouldn't have had Sandra Diaz.
I'll take all of them on the challenge.
Yeah, exactly. So what you're saying is CBS can do a good job, is basically what you're saying.
If it was before the last 15 years, yes.
What, you don't like Wendell? Like, that's absolutely blasphemy.
I mean, I'm hot and cold with Wendell. I didn't like how he treated Michelle. I don't know what happened in their relationship. I didn't like Michelle? No, I didn't like how he treated Michelle on Winners at War. I don't know what happened in the relationship, so I can't fully say. But there was a part of his personality that came out that I didn't particularly enjoy. But I did like Wendell. Yeah, he was all right. But I thought that Dominic was a better player. Hot take. Anyways, we're not talking about Survivor.
Julieta is
but I
saying,
do want to.
I'm a,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh yeah, you go ahead. I was going to say, Julieta is just saying, I'm a little bit scared for the Argentinian challenge because we don't have good luck with reality shows. And Julieta, I'm going to be honest, like when it comes to the Argentinian version, it's the one that I know the least about. And the one thing I do hope they do, if they do go to, obviously they're going to do the Argentinian, the challenge, a lot of us, especially myself, because I will want to watch all of the different versions so that I know who's going to be in the War of the Worlds season when the finale happens. One of the things I'm hoping they'll do is have subtitles on the show when they're speaking in their native language, because I would watch a lot more global Survivor shows if there was subtitles on it. But a lot of the non-English speaking Survivor franchises, they don't have subtitles on it.
I'm more excited to watch the international versions for the fact that I don't have any built-in relationships with potentially some of the people. So Argentina, I'm probably going to love it as just like a standalone concept of seeing people that are probably very attractive, maybe celebrities from Argentina competing on a show. I'm like, oh, this is a good show standalone. If I don't think of it as the MTV's the challenge that I'm used to, so I'm probably going to enjoy that. Like you said, I will probably enjoy Australian Survivor because I do know a lot of those characters, and I like all the characters that I know from Australia.
Such good reality TV.
Same with the UK. I've watched actually probably all UK reality series. So most likely I'm going to know a lot of the characters from the UK. I do find them very entertaining. I find them very fun. They know how to put on good TV. So I will enjoy all the internationals as standalone series. I just think that the US CBS version I won't enjoy as much because I will directly be comparing it to the MTV version that I know and love. So I'm going to give it obviously all a chance. I'm definitely going to watch it. But I want to know, why did they get a new name? Is it like, I kept on being like, isn't that the same name as War of the Worlds 1 and World of the Worlds 2? And now this is called World of the Worlds?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they ran out of ideas.
Couldn't they just change the name a little bit, like World Wars? I don't know, like something different. But I'm just
World War
confused. As like maybe
global challenge. Domination would have been better.
Something else. But like, there's two shows called War of the Worlds. Like, why couldn't they have figured something a little bit better out instead of pretending like it's something different because it has like a new logo?
Drew, Leslie here says, I feel like the challenge overkill at the moment. This may end up killing the original. It feels like CBS stole MTV's show. So if you can address that, Drew, and also who is currently being sort of, I guess, speculated to come onto the show from CBS, that would be quite interesting. Because one of the things that would kill it for me very early on is if the three Big Brother elite veterans from the MTV show goes over there and CBS somehow thinks like these guys are going to carry the ship because people will know who they are. I wouldn't be that excited to see those three sort of be the main event or the face of the challenge CBS.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to, but I mean, we might be getting double duty with the three. I mean, they're going to say yes regardless if they're being asked, which I highly doubt that they wouldn't at least be asked on these, all three of them.
Let me just have a quick interjection before you go to this comment. I did hear, and maybe I'm making this up, maybe it was in a dream, maybe it was wishful thinking, but I heard that people from the regular show were not going to be eligible for this new series. I thought that they're keeping that separate. So that means that that triad would not be asked and that it'll be all new people. So I don't know if it's wishful thinking, but that's what I thought I heard.
Smart move by CBS if that's the case.
Well, so that's the thing, is like, that's the confusion of it, because when you read the Variety article, which I pulled most of my information from it, because that was like Emily Longaretta is like the main person who does the a lot of the shows. She does a lot of the writing. So I kind of took from all of that. And to me, what I got from it is that the confusion in the wording is that they said that basically that it's going to be Titans from CBS battling it out on the challenge CBS. When you kind of boil it down, I would think that that means like no MTV alum, meaning no MTV property people like Are You the One, The Real World, Road Rules will be competing, which means that the people who originated from Big Brother would be eligible. that's kind of where the difference of opinions is. You can look at it like, oh, the people who have been on the MTV will not be asked, or it's going to be the people who originated from CBS shows but still competed on MTV still could be asked. But that's where it's like the confusion is. That's why I'm getting frustrated when rereading the article and trying to figure out more information, or looking at T accounts or spoiler accounts and trying to figure out more and more information. It's like they have information, but then it's not really vetted, or it's not fully like it's not like just fully 100% out there to where it's like, oh, well, I totally understand exactly how all of this is going to be done, or how this is going to be laid out, or who's going to be able to be called. I also heard Love Island from the CBS versions will be eligible for this. I've also heard that Tough as Nails could be also in the running, which is like, oh, come on, please. Can we not? I just think like the whole point of the challenge, and then thinking of my ideas of it, because I think, Chantel, you've said it perfectly. Like, as we are going to be watching this challenge CBS, which we will, I mean, it's challenge content. You're just going to be comparing it and just seeing who could be on this challenge CBS and thinking, I want to put these people on the normal MTV in a billion years or something, or like certain people that are going to be on there. It's like, this would have been like the D list of people that would want to put on the challenge, or people who are relatively very critical of who is being put on these main seasons of the challenge and hating the CBS shows or Big Brother in particular. And that's pretty much, I think, going to be the major pool that's going to be of the challenge CBS is going to be Big Brother, since they have a big enough pool. They know that they're going to be ready to compete. But to me, it's just like, I don't know. Like, that's why I'm like confused on my feelings, but also why I'm not super hyped on the challenge CBS version. Again, I'm going to watch it, but I just don't know. Like,
I don't even know how I'm going to cover it though. It's going to be so hard to cover. Like,
yeah, we'll need to strategize and have a plan on
so many
how
fantasy
this is going to
drafts.
work. So many spreadsheets to keep a hold of, and I don't know, we could probably do like a Venn diagram at the end of it with like all the players and like who talked to who and what season and where's the strategy going to lie. Just want to tell everybody that's here on the live, we do have quite a few people on here, and I know we are currently streaming this on both the Reality Realness channel and also the Nullified Take channel here on YouTube. Jump over to the Nullified Take channel as well and participate in our poll that we have currently. The poll, we're asking everybody, how are you feeling about the fact that the challenge is going global? Are you excited about it? And there is a yes, a no, an unsure as an option on there. Currently, we have 56% of people that are on the Nullified Take side of the live stream saying yes, they're excited. 12% are saying no, and 31% are saying, or now 33%, it's updating live, are saying that they're unsure about this. So there's still quite a few people that not everybody is outright saying we completely hate this. We're a bit unsure at this stage if we're going to enjoy this long term or not. But Drew, I'm really interested. And I don't know if you've mentioned it already. I might have spaced out a little bit when I was checking the comments. Did you mention who is rumored on the CBS side of things to play in this next season?
So I just want to apologize because I didn't mention any names, but I felt like I was just rambling during when you were talking about that. I was like, did I even made any sense while I was talking about that? I heard Tiffany was confirmed to being on from Big Brother US 23. I heard from both Gamer Vev and Pink Rose that she was already confirmed, called, and everything. I'm drawing a blank right now. Chantel, do you remember
it was
the other
Big
name?
D's the other person.
Oh yeah,
Big
Derek
D.
Fraser.
What?
From Big Brother.
I call this is.
I'll
there's
show
gotta
you
be
the
some
tweet in 1 second.
Fake news can't be like what's Big D gonna do on the challenge? What?
Sleep.
Yeah, so here's the other question I want to ask, though, with the CBS version of the show. Obviously, this is the first time that the show is going to land on a major broadcasting network over in the US. So with that, I appreciate that a lot of people from the MTV side of it might not even want to watch it or boycott it, or they might not be as interested in it. But we've got to understand, or at least appreciate, that there is a very loyal fan base on CBS that have been watching reality TV shows for a long time. They come back season after season. And how did the challenge originally originate on MTV? It was from a very loyal fan base of Road Rules, the Real World, that came together, and people got excited. They wanted to watch this. So in some ways, I wish they, like, I think it was Lovable Nikki here that said earlier on, like, they should have just, used a different name. Why sort of, create a new
I'd be so
franchise
excited
of
if it was
reality
something
TV?
completely new.
Yeah,
So
like Clash
excited.
of the reality TVs or something. But I think it's where people are really not that excited is because of the fact that they're taking something that already exists, has got its own legacy. A lot of people are proud of that legacy that has been created on the MTV show, and they're just copying and pasting it now onto the CBS network. My suspicion is that this will be successful. I'm going to put it out, a very hot take, in the sense that there is so many CBS fans that will come back and want to see some of their favorite players from previous seasons of Survivor or Big Brother, and even maybe the Amazing Race, but especially that Big Brother players and the Survivor sort of players. Like, none of the Big Brother or Survivor cast, especially Survivor, when they've played in the challenge, have had a real shot. They've never had an opportunity because of the vet alliances always taking them out. So I think that Survivor fans have dipped their toes into the challenge, but then every time when they see Jay leaving early, Natalie leaving early, Michelle leaving early, they've not really fully gotten into that show, which that's a very loyal, crazy fan base that will, I think, support this show if they cast correctly. So in that sense, just being a neutral here, I know it's very hard to take the emotion out of it. I do think that there is an opportunity for them to be successful based off the success of reality shows and the longevity of some of those reality shows that have been built around the CBS network. And for the producers behind the scenes, they're probably seeing some dollar signs potentially if they can sort of reignite the challenge and its viewership and add a different audience to it as well. I think that is the angle that they're going on. I'm not saying I'm completely defending everything.
You are
but
completely
I can.
defending everything. You just own it. It's fine.
Okay, I'm excited. I can't help it. I'm excited. I want to see some of my favorite players compete on the challenge that are from Survivor. Like, I wanted Wendell to compete this season. He wasn't on it. So, I
I
want Wendell
think
to be on this.
what lovable Nikki said is, I think what my biggest problem with it is that I would probably be so excited if it was something completely different. I don't want a competing show with the regular challenge series. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to have its own. I want them to work on making that series better, because they've been making it worse by bringing in all these CBS people onto, well, Big Brother people specifically, onto the show. So, like, they ruined basically the challenge, and now they're going to be like, okay, but the challenge is a really good idea and they have a pretty good fan base, so let's take what they're doing well that we've already ruined, and let's go try to make something different and better. So I wish that they had a new concept, new name. Don't take TJ over, create a new host of something completely similar but different, and I would probably be really happy and excited about it. But I just don't want them to call it the challenge. It's not the challenge, because that's not where the challenge came from. And just do something different on its own, and I'd probably be really happy and excited for it.
Yeah, very, very interesting. A lot of the Drew, the fan responses here. Most people are excited about the international versions. People are a little bit more pessimistic when it comes to the CBS version of the show because of, like I said, it kind of competes. And Drew, why do you think that why did they split it? Like, I mean, if you were a producer, why? Like, I think it's got to do with the fan base. I think it's got to do with the numbers, and they're thinking, okay, there's a loyal fan base we want to tap into and maybe get more eyeballs on the show. But in some ways, I feel like we're going to miss out on seeing legends compete. And is it a true War of the Worlds when you don't have CT there playing in the finale against some of these other global reality TV stars? Because the MTV show is not a part of this, quad that they've got competing in the finale.
Yeah. I don't know. The more times I think about this, the more I think of it like, how there's like a minor league in baseball, like there's a major league and then a
Yeah.
minor league where players can like be
Triple
brought
A,
up to the major
hockey.
leagues.
Mhm.
The same with D League and G League NBA teams and stuff. I feel like this is that, where the more I look at it, I mean, there's been a lot. If you go to like Twitter, when this first announced, like this was like doomsday. Like everybody was on red alert. It's over.
Yeah,
The main MTV show is going to be gone in, like, they were saying like 3 years. They were like, cancel it. It's over. CBS is going to take over. This is the worst news ever to happen. And to me, you can't think of it like that. I feel like you can't, like, to me, so MTV, right, has put so much stock, so much time, so much effort into some of the personalities that they have on this show. Like, if they were to just up and get rid of everything, like, you get rid of so many people that you've put so many years and money and backed so much. Like, you have Anissa, you have Tori, you have Nelson, Corey, who this is like their whole thing. This is their whole spiel. And if you completely move it from MTV to CBS, I mean, you just get rid of that whole fan pool. And I mean, you pretty much lop off whatever long-term fans are of the show, and you're trying to like build it up from the base. Because let's just be real, when there's a Venn diagram, what I've learned from my audience is that there's very big correlation between the challenge and Survivor. But when it comes to Big Brother, there's not really that much overlap between Big Brother and say the challenge. Now, there are people that watch like both or all three, or just are reality TV junkies like us. But when it comes down to it, there was a lot of people that were like, I've never watched Big Brother. I'll watch All Stars because Davon and Bailey are on there and they were on the challenge. I like them on the challenge. And then they watched Big Brother All Stars and was like, this show sucks. It's so boring. Why do people watch this? Why is it so long? And to me, I think that that's what the worry is when it comes down to the challenge CBS. But we're going to get it regardless. So we can't worry about the doomsday that could happen in the near future. What we have to realize is that this is going to happen. We can enjoy it for what it is, or watch the world burn as TJ is like lighting a cigar and just throwing it on a big pile of money, just saying, let's just watch the world burn. Let's see what's going to happen, as he just gets paid in the back end of it. But to me, I look at these as a possible way to be feeder into the main season of the challenge, because there are so many times that we get these random rookies on here and you wonder, can they do anything? Can they actually play in the game? They don't know the game. Why don't they know the game? They haven't watched any of the show. Now you kind of like, oh, well, everybody's on an equal playing field because nobody has played the challenge yet. Or if they bring in some challenge people, then those challenge people can inform the other people that haven't played the challenge, kind of. And so, one, it gets their feet wet in a very practical sense, instead of just watching it and trying to get an idea of how the show is being played. And then if they do well on the shows, then they could possibly do well on the main season of the challenge and could be a good personality. We also get to know some of them a little bit as they're getting put on there. So I look at it like that, where it could be a pro in that sense. But I know that there's going to be some aspects to the show that I'm not going to be enjoying, or that there's going to be to critique on it. And I'll tell you right now, the challenge CBS will not be high on my list of like, I just don't. I'm just so pessimistic about that one in particular.
Yes.
I just
It's all right. We'll talk about it on the nullified take. If Drew doesn't want to take it, like I'll do some videos on it. I'm not gonna write a whole series off before we even see it.
It's totally fine that you're for it. It's okay, Chris. I don't mind that you're for it. This is how I'm thinking of it. Is how TikTok, we have TikTok and we have Instagram. Instagram is all like glossy and like really overproduced and very like organized, and it looks a particular way. And TikTok is kind of like rough around the edges, and like you can see people's personality. It's a little bit of a real version of seeing little snapshots of people's life. And so I kind of put TikTok and MTV kind of in a similar kind of bracket, and Instagram and CBS in a similar kind of bracket. And I feel as though one of the things that I enjoy about MTV, or I had been enjoying about MTV, was that it's a little bit rough around the edges. We'll get that noodle fight. On CBS, they would never show that noodle fight. Like, they kind of water down some of like the rawness and the realness that I don't appreciate. That's what annoys me about CBS. And they cut the feeds, or, they don't show really important things that happen in the show because they want to portray a certain image of either the cast or of the network itself. So I feel like it's very, very produced. And MTV was a little bit of like the raw, the cool ant of networks. And so I just feel as though it's just going to be watered down. It's going to be very produced. It's not going to be as dramatic as I tend to like in what I usually get from MTV. Like a lot of my favorite shows have come from MTV because there were like these train wrecks. And I'm like, whoa, we get to watch like these train wrecks on my TV screen. And CBS, yeah, I've seen a lot of really great reality television. I've watched all of it over the years, but there is an overproduced element because they're always just like trying to uphold a certain image. So that's also why I have a little bit of reservations behind what the CBS version is going to be bringing to us.
Yeah,
I also need to show you this. Go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that the way the trailers are making it seem, it's heavy on the competition rather than the actual aspects, which is frustrating in a way because that's what we've been wanting on the challenge, is more of everything, more competition, but also more of the drama, more of the realness. But I do think that, like you were saying, is exactly right. I mean, the biggest thing, I think the first few words on the actual trailer in the first like 2 seconds that the trailer's out is America's fifth sport or something.
Yes,
it's like, oh my gosh, like just keep on pushing that sport.
The show where reality TV meets sports events or something like that. So it's all about sports, and it's going to be interesting. We'll definitely get into that a little bit. I wanted to touch on one of the comments made by Sophie earlier about the host. We've seen a few people throw out that Julie Chen should be the host, and then somebody saying, no, please not the Chen bot. Then other people were saying Jeff Probst should be the host, and others are saying, no, not Jeff.
I do think that
I do want to say for Australia, I would highly recommend both JLP, who's the host for Australian Survivor, and also Bo Ryan, who's the host for The Amazing Race Australia. Both would be great contenders to be the host. I would not be opposed to, because we're introducing the challenge to new countries that haven't seen it necessarily before, I wouldn't be opposed to like challenge legends coming over and being the host, like a Mark Long or a Bananas or somebody like that, to, and again, promote. I mean, if MTV is going to give away the keys to the palace here, not the King's Palace, but the palace, you know,
save the palace, save the palace.
Save the palace. Very appropriate at the moment, right? And you look very sad when you're saying that.
CBS.
But if they're going to give away the keys to the palace here, then at least promote your main show. Like, get some of the legends of the main show on there that you think can do a good job at hosting it in countries maybe like Australia, or well, I don't know if Argentina will work, but the UK, for instance. But I am quite interested on how they will do that, and I do think it'll have to be a new person. I've got a feeling that TJ Levin might even put up his hand to do the CBS one. I would not be surprised if he's going to do it.
I heard it was him.
He can't do the Australian, the UK, and the Argentina. No. I mean, the guy would not rest.
I mean, he'd be rich, though. Even more rich than he is right now.
Yeah.
Isn't the guy that hosts Australian The Amazing Race, isn't his name Bo? I thought he would be actually really great. Oh, I thought you said something else. Maybe I just heard the Ryan part. I think he would actually be really great just because he's so excited by all the different activities that he always wants to participate. So I think that he would actually be really good and, you know, promote that sportsmanship, all that stuff. So I would like to see him. I don't know who I'd want for the UK though. Not sure.
Yeah, I've got no idea in the UK. But one of the things about the UK that gets me excited, Drew, is that Kyle might become the face of the challenge over in the UK. Finally, he might be the face of the challenge. Like, I mean, if they were going to do it in the UK, I know he's part of the main show, but I'm sure that there would be a way where you would put someone like a Kyle in the UK being the biggest challenger from the UK. I think you need to tap into that. And that's why on the thumbnail, I had both Jenny West and Kyle is two of the people on the thumbnail that probably, or not Kyle, but I guess Jenny West was on there to sort of promote the challenge over in the UK even more. I know that in the UK, there's already quite an awareness for the challenge MTV already due to these people playing in there. But I am excited to see what can happen there. I'm very much on the blind for the UK side. I don't follow a lot of UK shows, but you know, if they're going to be looking for people that are going to be really good at the competition side of it, I know that SAS Those Who Dares Wins have got a lot of reality TV slash meets boot camp military style reality TV shows there as well, that maybe they could tap into a few of those people that have done it in the past to also add them into it. And by the way, Australia has also started dipping their toe into the SAS, Those Who Dares Wins in Australia. So there might be some reality TV people from there as well that potentially could make their way over.
Yeah, I mean, this is just wide open. I mean, I love UK TV just all over. Like, it's just the best. The Love Island is much better than the US version by far. I will say that I think it's better than Australian Love Island as well. My gosh, I can't believe it. I watched the newest season on Hulu, and it's it's shorter than the UK version, but it felt longer. It felt 3 times longer, which was like, how do you do that? But it's just the personalities that they bring onto the UK shows. To me, it's just, you could have the same shows in the US as in the UK, and the UK will outdo us every single time, which I'm super happy about. So that's why it's like, I don't care if they're like, oh, we're going to make this a competition and it shouldn't be any drama. But in the UK, I know it's always going to be drama. Like, I know that there's going to be some drama. So that's why I'm like the most excited for the Challenge UK, because I feel like that's going to be the most raw version, the most real version of the show. And that's why I think it was such a great idea for the US version of the challenge to bring on UK people, because once that they came in, it just sparked everything, and it really just kicked it into high gear. And I just really can't wait for that. And also the Australian version,
Nicole Anthony,
a really good job.
Sorry, that's I saw that. I mean,
I'm happy with Parvati. I'm happy with
Parvati.
Parvati said she would be. She was interested in doing the challenge. Apparently, she was contacted for last season and just couldn't do it. Obviously, there was a lot going on in her life, but she could be a good addition, definitely.
I would be interested in seeing that for sure. I think what will be exciting will be to look at the differences of how the same, I'm sure they're gonna have the similar format, maybe even similar structure of like each episode. Like, that would be very interesting if we're seeing like a blueprint of what each episode is going to be like maybe the competitions will be the same, or what, like, that would be very, very cool. And seeing how each translates around the world, I'd definitely be interested in that, because that the UK we would get the messy drama on top of having like the skeleton of all the framework of an episode. So I hope that if they take that route, I definitely could get even further behind this new concept, just because I would love to be comparing them specifically on the exact same tasks.
So we had a comment earlier from Dubbo, who's a frequent listener of, I believe, Drew's and Chantel's as well. And Dubbo asked, said he was a little bit disappointed about the fact that this isn't in Africa yet. We obviously had a few people from Africa this year that made their way over to the MTV show. Do we think, and obviously being South African originally, I definitely think there's some great South African reality TV stars and also wider African reality TV stars that I would love to give the opportunity to compete at the world stage. And it feels like sometimes Africa just gets left behind a lot of the times when it comes to these global showpieces. Do we think that if this is a success, which I think between us, like even if CBS flops, like the Challenge Australia, just knowing Australians and knowing their mindset when it comes to competitions and being a very sporty and active country and having massive personalities in Australia, I know it's going to be a success. Like, I've got no doubt that Channel 10 will put on a good show. I mean, there's a lot of people on Paramount Plus that have preferred the Australian Survivor show compared to the recent Survivor shows on the CBS version of it, to the point where now suddenly it's not available on Paramount Plus anymore after it got so much love. So, if you had a tinfoil hat and you could put that on, maybe there was a bit of pressure on the CBS show and they were like, we don't want this smoke before season 42 because 42 might be a letdown compared to what we've seen in Australia.
That's exactly what I said. So if you're thinking it, that means that it must
probably
be true.
It's
Thousands of people must be thinking it as well, including CBS execs.
Exactly. So the Australian version, I've got no doubt, will definitely be a success, just because of the culture in Australia being a very fit, competitive country, loving sports. Like, I think this will appeal to them. They've got big personalities to add to it. And I mean, the challenges on the Australian Survivor are by far the most difficult challenges you'll see in any of the Survivor series in any case. So they'll adapt to this type of show very easily over there. Do we think if we see a success here, that in the future that will continue to open it up to other areas, like we get the Challenge Africa in the future, and that they will continue to expand and maybe make this like an annual thing where, yeah, like an Olympic, like that's what they want, right? They want this to become like the CrossFit Games of like CrossFit Games in the sense that there is still a reality TV aspect to it, but there's this competitive nature to it, and it's a true global event. I think that the challenge is trying to shift and experiment, and they've been trying to do this for a while, into a different direction to see if they can capture a different audience as well.
I think that they're doing this right now is that they know that the longevity of Big Brother and Survivor is probably on its decline. If we're getting, I don't know if we're going to go past 40 or 50 seasons of Survivor and past, 25, 30 seasons of Big Brother. So maybe they're just trying to create a new legacy and starting it now with people that could get on board with something new that starts for the next 20 years. So I think that they are going to put in the work to make this a long-term opportunity. And I would expect expansion to other countries after the success of this season. I think it's going to be very more successful in other countries than it will be in the US, in my opinion. But that would mean that maybe other countries would have to buy the rights to be able to create it in their country. And maybe that's why other countries haven't participated yet, is because they haven't seen that it's like that they're going to get the value or whatever of buying this franchise. So I definitely will see that it will be expanding year after year after year, because I do think that the other countries will find a lot of success.
I think that this is basically them dipping their feet into the water and seeing what could happen with ratings, with popularity. I think that like you were saying with Survivor, I think that they picked the 4 countries that they did because of the connections or anything that Viacom CBS has within those communities, whether through their own shows or what they own. I read somewhere that Viacom CBS bought Tel Aviv or whatever for Argentina. Yep. So that's why they're gonna specifically have an Argentinian challenge. We have the success of Survivor Australia, so we have the Australian crowd, and then also the Challenge UK they have an MTV station there, but they've been also filtering UK people through the challenge. So I just think that they see those markets. They're able to produce a challenge, which all of these are going to be happening in Argentina. Like they're all in one centralized local area to help out with the costs and production and everything. So that helps out. But I think that this is also a way to boost up the brand. They've been getting the challenge out to multiple countries via the main season of the challenge. Why not try to now expand that brand with other hosts, with other people, and then with these 4, maybe you can expand off of that. We just got the first 2 African competitors on this past season of the challenge. So, I mean, they are trying to work into those markets. So I just think that that's a time. We're trying to see what that could lead into. And if this is viable with these 4 and how popular it is, then it's like, okay, well, maybe we'll start adding to them. And then maybe they'll become their own branches of their own, kind of like how Survivor has seen it, Big Brother has seen it in different countries. So then we could have this War of the Worlds after the Challenge UK has had like 4 seasons of their own, and then we've had our own MTV series. Let's get away from the CBS one. Let's move on to Australia, and then we can start like building in, and then that's when people are excited to sit there and go like, okay, we've had 2 seasons. I thought that this person was great in UK season 2, but this person was great in season 3. I wonder who's going to be representing in this giant War of the Worlds, because maybe it's not going to be, maybe once it gets so big, it's not going to be just War of the Worlds and it's just like, oh, the winners, and it's just 8 people going to go against each other. And maybe it'll be bigger. Maybe it'll be its own season overall, to where then it's like, okay, we have 4 branches, or everybody has the similar branches, and now you have to work within your own group and outside and see if you can actually work together and become the global champion via a whole season, going up against everybody from the best of the best of who played which season in which year, which could be exciting in itself. But there's a lot of pros and cons to this. But I mean, thinking of some pros and then you think of like 10 other cons that could come with those pros. You're like, oh my gosh.
Like this? Like this? Did you guys see this?
Don't you dare.
The
Don't
face,
you dare.
the face
says,
of CBS,
mark
is it?
these words. I will be the first global champion from the US.
There we go.
I think it's amazing. I hope that the US competitors bring it, because they have been severely lacking in the past 3 seasons, and other countries don't care about. I don't care about good personalities. They care about winning to bring honor back to their nations.
I'm doing it for the USA.
He's so annoying.
But you still love him, Chantel. You were defending him not that long ago, right? You've turned around on him now.
Well, then he posts shit like this. But like, go for it, Paulie.
He should not be doing it for the USA. He should be doing it for North America, and then Chantel would be happy because then she would be included in this.
Well, do you know what I was actually thinking when you were talking, Drew? Is that maybe I could figure out, like, or all of us could figure out a job within this. Like, maybe we could become like an actual correspondent for the international things or something like that. Because like they're going to be brand new and they're going to want to have coverage. So maybe
I've always wanted to be a sport broadcaster, you know. So now that
whatever,
it's a sport, like, let's go.
Imagine they would fly us to Argentina to cover, like, you know, some of the behind the scenes. I don't know. Anyways, I was just kind of like,
it's a tough job, but someone would have to do it, right? It's a tough job, but someone would have to do it.
Yeah, me and you.
Yeah, I'm in. Like me and Drew are in. Like, if anybody from this
but Drew
production
doesn't leave his
team
house,
is
though.
listening
How's
to
this gonna
this,
work?
Sorry.
So Drew doesn't leave his house, though. How's it gonna work?
Drew would leave his house if he was to become the official correspondent on scene for the challenge. Surely you'd leave your house for that.
I'm going to figure something out for us. I think it's an
so if the
opportunity.
production teams of any of these shows are listening to us right now, we're putting our hat up there. We might have to do an application video to get the official correspondent roles for these different versions of the show that's going to happen. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I think that they do need to play around with the format, because a lot of people are saying it's the same show that CBS is just repackaging. And I think that what I'm hearing because I'm excited from a global perspective, what I'm hearing a lot is that people are very reluctant due to the CBS aspect of it, which is one of the 4 different shows. It doesn't mean that the other 3 shows are not going to be great or we shouldn't embrace them and support them as much as we can, because that is, I think, a really cool thing that is happening around the world, that we get to see this. But like Drew said, the US have got its version, so don't mess with the legacy of it. I think that, you know, moving forward, this could be something that's very exciting, but they're going to have to rebrand it in a sense that the format of it might have to change. Like where you've got, like, you know how you've got Ninja Warrior where people are competing and you've got 2 people standing up on the podium doing the sport broadcasting of it as they're in the middle of a challenge. Can you imagine being in the middle of a challenge as they're doing it, broadcasting about it to the audience? I think it would be fun.
Like on Survivor, like it's fun watching him being like digging deep, like, you know, like the side commentary. Some of it obviously is done in post.
Big D is gassed and he's struggling up the mountain.
Get him out of here!
Get him out of here!
I mean, I would love that if they could hear me heckling from behind my computer screen. Like that would be amazing.
Well, I think of like Ultimate Beastmaster, because they had that exact kind of setup. Was the commentators from all different countries kind of like lined up and then like commentating while whoever was going was. I thought that was a really fun aspect as well.
Yeah, no, I do agree. We've got Sonia here saying that no one watches Channel 5 in the UK. I don't know, like if they must have done a little bit of homework, I would say, in regards to this. And also from what I understand is that they will have these shows on the local main broadcasting networks, but it will also be available on Paramount Plus at the same time. That's what I read when I was reading it. It's in partnership with Paramount Plus for the streaming side of things. So I think they'll probably be available on both. There is a little thing that is Paramount Plus available everywhere? I know we've got someone from Argentina here in the live chat, or a few people maybe from Argentina. Let us know if in Argentina Paramount Plus is available yet, because I do know that Paramount Plus is available in Australia and it is available obviously in the US. I'm not sure about Argentina and the UK and if it's available in those 2 countries.
I don't know. It's not available in Canada, so there's that.
I thought I read somewhere that they had Paramount Plus Latin or something like that. Like it was, I don't know if it was like a real thing, but I that's what I read, that it was like it will be on the broadcast and then on demand at Paramount Plus Latin or something. I don't know the name of it, but that's what I heard. And I'm glad Juliet agrees with me. Julieta.
Julieta.
All right. Is there anything else you guys wanted to discuss about this? I know it's quite new still at this point. We're just digesting the news as it's coming out at the moment and trying to make sense of all of this. I'm very interested to know what the format of the show is going to be like. Will it be closer to All Stars? Will it potentially be a bit of a longer season like we see in the actual challenge seasons? And in my mind, I'm thinking they'll probably make it a slightly shorter format. I've just got a feeling it's going to follow that Paramount Plus template. And I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think that could be interesting to know. We'll probably find out more information as we continue through the next couple of weeks leading up to All Stars. We'll probably get to know a little bit more. I do know, obviously I can't discuss it on here, that definitely some calls have gone out to Australian Survivor players. So we will be seeing some of our favorites from Australia, I think, on the show. But more than that, I can't sort of say at this stage.
I do feel as though it will be more like the All Stars format. I do think it will be shorter, at least for the time being. That's kind of what I'm suspecting. And maybe that amount of cast members. I think I heard also that they're going to be filming in the summer, all 4 of these, and that All Stars 3 isn't actually starting to air until May 11th, which I thought was quite far away. Were you guys surprised by when that was starting up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought it'd be next month or April at the latest. I didn't think it would be May.
It's probably because I think there may be some people involved from this production team on the definitely the CBS show. Like, I mean, they need experience of people who know how to put the challenge together and have done it for so many years on there. So even in the sense that TJ himself, like, I mean, it's being asked here, was TJ confirmed as the host? I'd be shocked if TJ doesn't do at least the CBS version of it personally. So that's probably another reason why they've sort of given it time, so that these guys are available when the actual show comes up for interviews and questioning and all those types of things.
Maybe also some of the production people will be shadowing season 38 as it's being made as well, maybe. So they can see what's going on and how they kind of work a full season. So maybe that's happening also.
Drew, Lester asks, do you think this will end All Stars?
All Stars is the best out of them all, though.
I heard that the rumor is that they're only going to be doing 3 or 4 seasons of All Stars and kind of going that round. I'm sure that they're going to be testing out this. I'm sure they want to put full speed ahead on these projects and kind of going with seeing how All Stars 3 and possibly an All Stars 4 does in the interim as well. But I was too surprised about the release date of All Stars 3. I just don't think, when I think of soon, from January, May, it doesn't come to the forefront of my mind. But I think this is going to lead to where Paramount Plus is going to have a lot new content, because I actually heard that the CBS one will start filming next month, and then it will be premiering in the summer, which I feel like they're trying to pair it up with like Big Brother. Like a night of Big Brother will be Big Brother. The new season of Big Brother will happen on like Wednesday night, and then at 8 to 9, and then 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock will be the challenge CBS. And so people who are like watching that will lead into that so that they can gather a lot more viewers. And then as well as putting All Stars 3 promos within that kind of setting, kind of being like, hey, check this out if you want to do it too, kind of thing. So I just think it's trying to add a lot more to the marketing of it all. So I don't know. I'm going back and forth between whether how I feel about this, but I really want All Stars to stay.
Just before Chantel jumps in, before I forget here, Drew, with this, there's going to be a lot of new fans that are going to discover the challenge for the first time. Some of them might even be on this because I did post that we were going live talking about this on Australian fan pages and stuff like that. So we might get people that are actually watching this that have never seen the challenge at all. And I just want to say to those people that Drew has got a great channel for the history of the challenge, like where the challenge started, how it originated. Like if you are someone that is intimidated by the fact that, man, I now need to pay. Like I actually had messages on some of my videos this week saying that I feel like I now need to pay attention to the challenge because I've never really paid attention to it, but Australia is becoming part of it now. So if you're in that position where you're like, I just don't know where to start, I don't know, what the show's about, go check out Drew's channel for all of that content. And I'm sure, Drew, this will probably, I know it's a bit of a while before we see All Stars happening, but I'm sure there's a few different things that you can add to educate and get people up to speed in regards to what the show of the challenge is and what to expect when they come from these other shows or countries to watch it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily tell just somebody randomly, like, hey, watch the most recent seasons. But if you are somebody who's going to be jumping into the series, like just because it's starting in your like general location, I would say start off with the most recent because that's what you're basically going to get come when the Challenge Australia or Challenge UK happens. So I would say go watch Challenge 37, watch Challenge 36 first. They're not the best seasons, but it's going to give you a better idea of what to expect because if you're going to get anything, it's going to be the most recent iterations that we're seeing because I feel like the challenge has tamed down a little bit. And I think that's where it's kind of like, oh, this could be something that we could post on CBS, or this could be something that we could post on somewhere else because there's not so many drunken hookups like there were back then. There's not like a 3-way kiss in a jacuzzi. They're just like jumping off of trucks and wrestling each other with explosions. That's fun for everybody.
What I was going to say before is that it annoys me a little bit if they actually do go through with having Big Brother on Wednesday and then right after to lead into CBS's version of the challenge, because I was always frustrated that everything was piled up on a Wednesday and they were all competing with the challenge that was on MTV. I was like, what, you guys are supposed to be working together here. Like, why are you making me have to choose whether I watch the challenge or watch Big Brother or watch Survivor? And so that would actually really irritate me if they steal the time slot, put it on CBS, and then don't even give us a challenge MTV season 38. So that's another thing too. Like, I feel like within this merger, obviously I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So like they might have a completely other idea of what they plan on doing with the MTV side of the challenge. But like they've taken this amazing product from the challenge, they pushed the challenge away, and now they're creating their own thing and they're not putting any attention into MTV's The Challenge. So I don't know.
So I just want to say, I came into this podcast really fearing the fact that I was going to be the only one excited about this news and everybody here's going to hate it. But when I'm looking at the votes right now, as it stands, 49% of people are excited about the fact, and I think it is because it's going global specifically. I think CBS is probably where a lot of people are like,
can you add
I'm
to the poll, like who specifically loves the idea of CBS USA coming to the air?
Yeah, or I can ask which one of the franchises that are being rumored to go up, which one are you the most excited by? But I think, it's interesting to see that, yes, 49% of people are excited, 41% of people are saying they're unsure, and then 10% is just saying, no, don't want to have it, don't want to expand on it at all. I'll end this poll and see if I can add another one to this to maybe make it a little bit more specific if it allows me. I don't know if Facebook's going to or YouTube's going to allow me to do a second poll. It looks like it may not be able to do that, which is a shame. But, I think that when we look at this, there is a lot of potential for this to take off in a really positive direction where we now may get some new reality TV stars that everybody will enjoy to watch on the show that potentially down the line could even feed into the main show on MTV. I think the thing is, what would really make me upset as well, like I came into this positive, but what would make me upset is if this is the end of the MTV challenge as we know it, with the people that I've also really started loving to watch over the last couple of years. Like we're invested at the moment when it comes to some of the storylines that's been created over the last 5 to 10 to 12 seasons on there. If it's the end of that, then I would be very disappointed of what is happening. But if it's an additional vetting process where people have to go through an additional casting process now, and they can't just immediately go from big brother to the challenge, like some of our least favorite players have done in the past, then I'm okay with this. I'm okay that they get to prove themselves on a different show first, get audience reactions from that, and then maybe they say like, listen, Parvati was an absolute star in the challenge CBS. We have to have her on the MTV proper challenge show because she was just that great. Everybody loved her. She was a challenge beast, and I think in that sense it could be something that is useful. But at this point, I think let's sit back. Let's not. It's not Armageddon yet. It's not the end of the world yet. Let's give it a chance.
War of the Worlds,
It's
absolutely.
War of the Worlds, not the end of the world yet. And let's see what happens on the show. Like I will try and keep. I
Why
promise
is there
you guys
not
that
an
I'm alive.
announcement for 38? Like that's what I'm worried about, is that this is going to overtake and completely get rid of what I love about the challenge. I don't need a new iteration. I can watch another thing, but I don't want it to overtake what I'm already watching. I don't want the Challenge Global or whatever this is to be the only type of the challenge content that I get. I don't want to lose All Stars, and I don't want to lose the regular season. Like, I do enjoy it, even though I complain about it, but I feel like the reason why I'm complaining about it is CBS has too much input on like what's going on with the show. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And so I hope that they just go their separate ways. MTV goes back and being the fun, cool aunt of reality TV, and CBS can go and take over the world. Fine, I'll watch them both separately. I just don't want to lose MTV's version.
Yeah. I hear on that. I mean, let's hope. Juju is saying that the Americans are the 51% that are not saying yes at the moment, and it's possible. And like for me, I do. Like I said, I don't want this to be the end of MTV, the challenge. I do want the challenge 38 to be out there as well. And I would be just as disappointed. And in hindsight, then it wouldn't have been worth it, even though I think that it will be great to have these global shows take place in it. I think that on my side, I'm going to try and keep Chantel and Drew as positive and sane throughout the next couple of months when it comes to this. We're going to continue to have a look at the news coming in, and I promise you guys that if there's anything new, anything exciting that we can jump on a call to talk about it, we will definitely do so. I think that it's always fun talking to both you, Chantel and Drew, about these things. Is there any final thoughts, any final words there from you, Drew? I know Chantel gave us a little bit there as well, and we'll come back to her as well. But Drew, is there any final thoughts you want to leave people with before we end this podcast?
I just want to say that, like, I've talked about not being super ecstatic about this challenge CPS. When I say like I'm not thrilled with something, like especially when it comes to the challenge, it's not like base level, like I hate this completely, because it is the challenge. Like, that's how I'm going to view it. Like, for a time where we were unsure of how much challenge content we were going to get, especially with Challenge 38 continuously being pushed back and pushed back and pushed back to the point where I was like, what are they doing? They haven't come out with All Stars 3 yet, which we thought it was going to happen soon after January. And then Challenge 38, I heard, wasn't going to be starting to film until May, which means that we won't get any challenge main season until probably after the summer, because they don't want to go with competing against Big Brother. So it's like, what are we doing here? Are we just going to have 9 months of complete drought, unless except a little puddle of All Stars for 10 weeks? And then it's like, what are we going to do for the rest of the time there? So more challenge content, I will welcome it. But when I say that I am cautiously optimistic, I am more on the cautious and very like leaning more that way than the optimistic side when it comes to what we're going to get on the US side, which is and the North America side, which is the challenge CBS. Very cautiously, not very optimistic, but I'm pretty optimistic and think that we could get a home run with the other iterations of the challenge where it comes to the UK and Australia, which I'm very excited about. Like, so that's where I'm coming from in the perspective of this conversation and what I was coming into. The last couple of days I've been thinking about it, and I'll be getting into more discussions when I start doing other content about it. But that's what I just wanted to make my position, because I felt like I just came into it and kind of was just like said a whole bunch of words and we're going off of random tangents when I was like, oh, I'm trying to like, I should have said this beforehand. Like, I should have said this at the beginning, but now I'm saying it at the end. So that's where I just want to make my position clear on where I'm at right now mentally until we start hearing more stuff.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, and I think I'm feeling exactly the same as you. It's just I'm more excited because I live globally, So I think because I'm here and I'm getting to see it move a show that I love move into some of these pockets in Australia and the UK, and a wider audience being exposed to it. That excites me, and also because I know of the hidden gems when it comes to the reality TV sort of space in these countries. I think that a lot of people will be very excited by that. But like I said, I don't want it to be at the expense of the main show. Chantel, any final thoughts there from your end in regards to this news?
I think I said it all. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go and see if there's a work opportunity to work on one of these franchises. I'm actually going to see, like, do they need to have any coordinators for competitions or stuff like that. I'm going to see if they need to build their staff, and so yeah, I'm going to use it as an opportunity to maybe really get behind the scenes and get on the production side of things, because as much as I complain about I want it this way, I want it that way, I would love to be able to be part of making some of these decisions. And if we have like 4 entirely new franchises that will need to be staffed, essentially, why not me? So I'm going to do some investigating and see if I can get behind the scenes, so I will really be able to have an insider's take on what is going down globally. So that's what I'm going to do with that.
Fingers crossed for you. If you guys made it to this point in the podcast, listening to our rants and excitement and raw thoughts on the news that just dropped, we thank you very much for your support on the channels. As always, go and follow Drew on the Angelcake channel. I'm sure most of you guys are already on there, and Chantel on the Realnesss channel. If you like this content, you want me to continue to do this with these guys, please also help my channel grow by subscribing to it, liking this video on the Nullified Take. I do want to do something special when we get to 500 subscribers, because if we get there, then finally I can start doing some community posts, put polls out there in regards to what do you guys want to see more, what do you want me to see covering more. I want to make you a part of how we kind of grow the channel on the Nullified Take. So I'm really excited about that. And also, I know that most of you are challenge fans, but I will be doing a buff giveaway competition, and you'll unlock that competition if you get to 500 subscribers. And the kick to this one is it will be an Australian Survivor buff that I will be putting up as a giveaway, and that's a little bit more rare to find compared to the CBS ones over in the US. So even if you don't like the show, it's worth a lot of money. So so if you think about it in that way, dollar bill signs, get me to 500 subscribers, we'll unlock that competition. I'll start getting some community posts out there as well, so we can grow this channel together. As always, Chantel and Drew, I had so much fun talking to you guys about the news that just dropped. Please give all of us a follow, and we will catch you next time when we get some more news coming up. Thanks, guys. Talk to you.